welcome to yet another adventure. This is Beck's Game One Day Banger. We have that list of games that Bex has for us for these odd days between where we're doing something mega and then doing something else mega, which will be starting on Tuesday next week, as I have my birthday trip this weekend. And Bex decided that we should play a game called Faith. Faith, the Unholy Trinity, I believe it's called. This was a very interesting game that, similar to Undertale, manages to use so little to produce so much. In fact, she came with a warning, as some of you looking at the screen are probably going to think the same. It's like, don't be distracted by the graphics. It's done in this 8-bit style intentionally because it works for what this game is putting on offer, and she is absolutely correct. I got about 6 hours out of this game and did the most useless of endings, I think. At least each chapter seems to have at least 5 different endings that involve you doing several other things and dramatically change how the end of the game works. So my playthrough here will not be reflective of any of you decide to give this a try if you're looking for that little distraction to go in between any of the major games you're playing. What is it? Faith is a game that is about priests who have a history that did not go well with an exorcism about a year previously. They were called by the Vatican on a top secret mission where they're like Mission Impossible. They're like disavowed by the Vatican if they are caught. And it did not go well. The exorcism of Amy in this house in Connecticut did not go well. And you start to uncover this entire secret society and their motivations and the demons that they are worshipping and why they're doing it. All those kind of elements start to unfold here in a very simple 8-bit style that just has you moving through screens and literally gives you one button. So if you're on a keyboard, it's just your spacebar. That's it. And that spacebar will raise your cross, your holy religious cross, to fend off the evils that the game is going to be throwing at you, and they are very creepy. The level of tension and atmosphere this game manages to generate is extraordinary. And if any of you aren't older, I'm going to sound Mr. Boomer here, but during like the Atari and NES days, where the graphics were not exactly stellar compared to what we have now with like Assassin's Creed Shadows and things like that, a lot of the times the graphics are more of a suggestion and you fill in the blanks with your imagination. And that all came back to me here. And it was nice to see actually a lot of our younger audience who played this game also had that experience, because you can't help it. What you're seeing on the screen is sort of like this, almost like you're looking at it through a security cam, but your imagination is generating what's actually going on to fill in all these little bits and pieces from the basic puzzle pieces the game presents to you. And it works really, really well to create that level of tension, because similar to when you play a game that's a bit older, within the first 20 minutes, you just adjust. It's like Obra Dinn. You just adjust, and this is the game now, and you're fine with it. Like, it's not a problem that's holding you back, especially if that game is very good. And this game is very, very good. It's not without fault. We'll get into that, but it is extremely good. What I found throughout playing this was very keen on finding out more about what was happening, and that's great. What you want to do with any game that's trying to tell you a story is find out more about that story and not be put off by story stuff, right? I just mentioned Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is doing very well, and I've played it. It's good, but there's like 2 hours of cutscenes at the start of that game to try and get you up to speed, and it's a lot. This game literally lets you find out the story if you want to. You don't have to by any means, especially if you're doing a multiple playthrough. You can bypass nearly everything. But by filling in those blanks, the characters, the names that reappear, you start to get a good feel for who these people are and the tragedies that have befallen them and who may be behind that whole thing. That's great. That's exactly what I want from a game. I want to care about the characters, and that can be done in an 8-bit style with a few notes that have been left lying around, and then what plays out in the game is like, oh, okay, this is how this went down. This is horrible. One thing it does do, despite its little 8-bit top-down, is the cutscenes were motion captured and then translated into that style. So they're in like this fluid 60 FPS style. It's really, really intriguing and creepy. It is a quote-unquote horror game. I'm not sure I would call it a horror game because it's not scary, but it's definitely going for that sort of horror thriller atmosphere that you would get with demons and exorcisms, especially towards the end when it really kind of goes, well, if you've made it here, we're all in, dude. Like, we are totally all in. But in essence, it's a top-down puzzle solver. Nice, simple puzzles that didn't take us more than a minute to figure out, oh, this is probably what it wants from us. Or you could take a good educated guess and it works, which I prefer that style. It's like, it could be this. Oh, it was that. Oh, that's cool, because it's the only kind of evidence I've got lying around to fit what is happening here. But in many cases, the evidence is all there, and it's forest for the trees type situation, where you're like, oh, that's what it is. Those kind of situations. Do I have any complaints? Yes. Yes, I do. There was a couple of complaints. You are only given the one button. This is my primary complaint, so you can imagine how minor this is compared to this game. It's the space bar. And in order to attack enemies, you hold down the space bar to project your holy cross of Nazareth at them, and that should fend off a lot of, especially the early demons, right? The issue with that is it's also the skip cutscene button. So unless you're pretty quick sometimes about letting go of the spacebar because a cutscene is playing, these gorgeous cutscenes that I told you about, you can accidentally skip them, which happened to me a couple of times. I even at one point went back and checked a YouTube video of what the cutscene was supposed to be, because I was like, oh, especially if you're not realizing they're cutscenes and you go to something's coming towards you, so you try to hold up your cross, which is spacebar. That's also the skip button. So you end up like skipping it entirely. Like, oh, I don't even know what happened then. That is one of my mini complaints. Also, a lot of it is done directionally. So if an enemy's coming from your right and you're facing left, or you're moving up, actually, was the common one. In order to make that turn, you have to let go of the up button and then turn. Instead of what you would be used to in a sort of 2025 world, which is like, if I press right, I want you to turn right. It won't do that immediately, which led to a couple of silly deaths. But thankfully, the autosave system does not have you go too far back at all. It's like, okay, you died. It's fine. Mortis. 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 Okay. Okay. Mortis. Mortis. And then you go, okay, so it'll put you back like one room or something so you can figure out what you're supposed to do. Certainly, if you've done anything of importance in the game, it auto-saves you. So you're never going to need to worry about that. You might not pick up the notes again that you picked up while you were exploring, but generally speaking, you'll be pretty fine. Overall, I rate this like an A. I would give this a solid A. I don't want to go too much into the story because it's all about the story and the different endings you can play out, but let me just tell you that it's... when you start reading between the lines on some of these notes, you're like, oh, that's really, really grim. That's really grim. But also, there's comedy and charm here. All I'll say is, for those who know, praise be to Gary. God bless his soul. What a guy. And for those who don't know, you probably want to find out who Gary is, all right? So check it out, Faith. And next week, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's definitely something a lot of you will be familiar with. And I'm excited for it. It's been on my agenda for probably like 5 years, something like that. So we'll see you then. Bye, guys.